How does the wage system impact those already in the pipeline?
So when you say like already in the pipeline, if somebody is already on H1B and I think they're going through a transfer process or going through something else, normally what happens is at every stage, it is the requirement of the job that determines the wage level. So those people will not be impacted. It's only getting into the lottery where I think wage levels will make a difference based on the current process. So anybody that is in the pipeline to go through the H1B registration process, who are currently not on H1B but trying to get a selection in the H1B next year. So those people, I think, will be impacted. But again, sometimes it could be a positive impact, sometimes it could be a negative impact based on their individual situation. So I think all of us, I think, will probably, at least what we all know is things would be different in the coming season when we have this season in March, because March is when they have to make this selections. So in March, I think things will be a little bit different. So whether it is a positive impact or a negative impact, it depends on the individual's situation and how the final rule is drafted. So I think it's up in the air. So we'll have to give it a couple more months to see what is going to happen this next H1B cap season.
Absolutely, yes. And also the fiscal years coming up, I think we are expecting a lot more changes to happen and to see at least how it's going to take shape. So I think another month and 10 days or so, right? October is the
Yes.
fiscal year. So what can we expect,
Yeah.
you think, Chan?
So when the new fiscal year starts, I think a couple of things. Anybody that has got an approval, especially with change of status approval, what it means is you got to start working on H1B status from October 1st, because October 1st is the start day of the fiscal year. So whoever has got an H1B approval with October 1st start date, they have to make sure they're complying with all the H1B regulations. Nowadays, every time you file for a benefit, maybe a H1B extension, maybe a H1B transfer, or maybe something else, they're going back and checking your previous status. They're going and making sure that you maintain your prior status. So it is very important that anybody who's fresh H1B, make sure you're maintaining the terms of your LCA. Anybody on H1B, they should have a copy of their LCA. No company can say, I will not give you the LCA. It is a mandatory document that the company has to provide to every employee. And DOL will take it very seriously if a company does not provide LCA. So LCA is a document that everybody should have. So everybody should open the LCA, know what the work location is, what the salary is, what their job title is, etc. And if there's any problem, just talk to your employer, but make sure you comply with the LCA. Employer has to comply with the LCA. Employee has to comply with the LCA. And another factor is if you have dependents, every time you are changing status to H1B or doing those things, make sure your dependent also changes their status. Okay, so anybody that has a dependent, make sure you're also complying, because dependents also have to make appropriate filings. So if somebody is on F2, they have to convert to H4. So they have to do those filings appropriately. So that is another important thing. And we also see a lot of folks who are on L1 or L2 or H4 convert to H1B. So those people also have to they have certain things that they have to follow. So make sure those are done appropriately. And then people who are waiting for green cards. October 1st always means that new fiscal year starts, which means the new immigrant visa numbers, they start getting allocated from October 1st. So usually we see at least a little bit jump in dates once the October bulletin hits. So anybody who's in the green card process, they're probably waiting for the October bulletin, because October bulletin is where the entire 150,000 employment-based visa numbers, they start getting issued from October 1st. So in terms of compliance, again, I think you see all those USCIS memos come out. They're talking about anti-Semitism, anti-Americanism, and all these things that people should not do. Anybody who's in the country, who's on a visa, they're a guest of this country. And I think people should always realize that part, which means respect the culture, traditions of the country you are in as a guest. And make sure you don't do anything on the social media that is contrary to the traditions of the country, or anything that is against the political views of the country. So it is very important. And again, most of the folks are very cautious. They're respectful. But again, be very cautious. When you are on social media, things sometimes might be construed the wrong way. So what that always means is always pay attention to what you're doing on the social media. It is highly important. Every time you go for a visa stamping, or anytime you enter back into the country, social media is being checked very, very thoroughly. Nowadays, they have these systems like Palantir, these companies that are assisting the government in doing all this data analysis. So be very, very careful about it. Also, your tax returns, because everybody who's in the country working, whether you're on OPT or any other status, tax filings is very important. And what that means is always be careful of what you're filing in the taxes, make sure it is thorough, make sure you don't have any issues with IRS, because they're talking about good moral character. The memo that came out last week was talking about good moral character for US citizenship. But the good moral character also is applicable to non-immigrants, because every time you file for a benefit, either an extension, a transfer, or some other benefit, the good moral character requirement is out there. We are seeing so many RFS where people got arrested for either for DUI, driving without a license, reckless driving, shoplifting, all these things. I've never seen such kind of RFS in the past. Right now, I'm dealing with numerous RFS for biometrics where USCIS is coming out and saying you got arrested for this reason. And sometimes the reason could be something like reckless driving 20 over the speed limit, but still it's a violation. It's a violation. Okay, so because in some states, reckless driving is not just a traffic ticket; it is more than a traffic violation in some states. So just be cautious. Always pay attention to the rules and regulations. You have to ensure federal laws are not violated. Federal is the main government, the federal government. Then you have state laws. State laws are whichever state you're living in. For some states, you have specific rules, so you have to maintain the state rules. Then you also have city rules, municipal ordinances, and so on. So the goal is you have to ensure the local rules are honored, the state rules are honored, the federal rules are honored. So don't take any chances. Always be on the conservative side where you're not taking any chances. If you're in doubt, take the approach of the conservative side and don't even like get into any trouble. Okay, so again, you can't take any chances. There is scrutiny, and not only that, not only scrutiny. Nowadays, you have computer systems, because when we talk about AI, the government is also using AI to predict things, to analyze data. So they are analyzing data very, very quickly. So what that means is be extra cautious, be conscious of all the rules and regulations, and don't take any chances.
Absolutely, yes. Very important, friends. It's best to know the rules because I can say change is only constant. Every time things are changing, and maybe to navigate all of these complexities in immigration, it's best to consult with an immigration attorney, and they will guide you best. And just like Chand has said, stay on the neutral side, be conservative, and all the best. Abide by each and every rule. So, Chand, there are so many more questions, and also, folks have asked their questions. But before I take up questions from our audience, this concludes part 6. Join us again in part 7 of Immigration Talk Show.